Well, well, well. How are we all doing? This is RJ from Game News USA, back with NFL Week 3 recap, where we're going to go over each and every NFL game this week and talk about what happened and what it means. So thank you for joining me. If you're here for ranting, you're going to get some at the beginning. You're going to get some throughout the video. But if you're here specifically for the title and thumbnail, that involved the two Monday night games. And so scroll towards the end of the video if that's all you're here for. But we're got to go in order of the games here. So with that being said, thank you for all for being here. Please hit the subscribe button and let's get started. Let me start by saying paper tigers. What are they? They appear dangerous, but they're actually ineffectual. And there are a lot of paper tigers in the NFL, especially the last two games we're going to talk about. But first, let's talk about Thursday night, where my Patriots got their ass handed to them by the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers was out there looking like prime Aaron Rodgers. He almost threw for 300 yards, which he hasn't done in like 3 years. And he would have done it if they didn't need to just run the clock out and end the game, because they were up by so much. But the Jets beat the Patriots 24-3. This game wasn't competitive. The Patriots, you know, they looked exciting and fun. They won in week 1. In week 2, they went to overtime and almost won. And now they shit the bed. And we're back to being the lowly fucking Patriots. And the Jets look like they could actually be legit, depending if they stay healthy. Now, we go to Sunday. Let's go to the early games window. The Giants beat the Browns 21-15. Daniel Jones actually had a good game. I'm shocked. The Browns defense is good. Daniel Jones was able to have a good game. 236 yards. And they were able to pull off the victory. So both these teams are now 1-2. I don't expect either of these teams to make the playoffs. I expect both of these teams to probably be last in their division by the time the whole season wraps up. And then next up, we got Packers-Titans. The Packers won 30-14. What is going on with the Titans? They are winless. They are paper tigers. Paper Titans, we'll call them. The Packers won with their backup quarterback, Malik Willis, against their quarterback, Will Levis. Malik Willis used to be on the Titans. They let him go. And the Packers have won 2 games without Jordan Love. So give Matt LaFleur a ton of credit. The Packers are flying under the radar right now at 2-1. And when Jordan Love comes back, they're going to be even more dangerous. So, that's great for the Pack. The Titans laid a fucking egg at home. Next up, we got Bears and Colts. The Colts won 21-16. Despite the fact Caleb Williams threw for 363 yards. Guys, this already feels like a lost rookie season for Caleb Williams. It's not going as advertised. And there's another rookie up in Washington we're going to talk about later that is doing some big things already. The Bears are sitting now in last place in the NFC North. And I fear they may end up missing the playoffs if they don't get it right with some of their play calls and some of their strategy. They have no run game to speak of. And the lowly Colts, with a guy who I don't believe can play the position of quarterback, Anthony Richardson. I just don't believe he has a high enough completion percentage. They were able to beat the Colts. Next up, this was the shock of the day. The Minnesota Vikings not only beat the Houston Texans, they bludgeoned them 34-7. 34-7. There is no way I expected this. There's no way you could have told me that CJ Stroud would only have 7 points for the Texans against Minnesota. They are playing excellent ball on both sides of the ball, defense and offense. Sam Darnold is resurrecting his career, and the Vikings, after beating the 49ers and the Texans, have to be taken seriously, guys. They have to be taken seriously. And they are undefeated at 3-0. There are only 5 teams undefeated left in the NFL. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Seahawks, and the Steelers. The Vikings are one of them. I'm shocked by at least 3 of these. The Vikings, the Steelers, and the Seahawks at 3-0. A little surprising. The Seahawks' schedule was soft. The Vikings have definitely outplayed what people thought they would be. The Steelers are just so good with their head coach and situational football. And then when you have the Bills and the Chiefs, the Bills lost a ton of talent and they're still 3-0. And the Chiefs aren't playing great in games. Patrick Mahomes is not playing good and they're 3-0. And we'll have more on that later. Then we have Eagles-Saints. The Eagles won 15-12 in a low-scoring affair. Weird, a ton of yards in this game. Hurts had 311. Barkley had 147. Goddard had 170 receiving. The Eagles almost choked the game away. Nick Sirianni, I want to fire him now if I could. But it's kind of hard to do that when you're in first place in your division, despite your head coach. But they are. They were able to go into New Orleans, who were undefeated, who looked like the best team in the NFL after 2 weeks, and the Eagles' defense was able to shut them down. And that brings up a lot of questions going forward about the Eagles' path and the Saints' path. And I just don't know, guys. There's things you just don't know in life. Next up, Chargers-Steelers. Steelers win 20-10. We talked about earlier. The Steelers are 3-0, and Mike Tomlin is doing another excellent coaching job. He may legit be the best coach in the NFL. Now, I know Andy Reid wins Super Bowls. You know, Mike Tomlin does have one. But Tomlin can turn chicken shit into chicken salad. And that's what's happening here. But so can Harbaugh. The Chargers lost a ton of talent. They're 2-1 even after this loss, but they're just being decimated by injury after injury after injury. Justin Herbert's got a high ankle sprain. You know, Bosa's got issues. And the NFL wrongly just suspended Derwin James for a game when they're about to have their biggest game of the season against the Chiefs. Gee, I wonder why. But Derwin James didn't deserve his suspension. Like, if you're going to do anything to him for something he did on the field, throw him out of the game he was in. Why are we suspending people the next game? That is so soft, weak-ass shit. But anyway, Steelers win. Next up, this probably surprised a lot of people. It didn't shock me as much as it did other people, but the Broncos won 26-7 in Tampa. Here's what happened. Bo Nix is getting better. Sean Payton is giving Bo Nix the tools to succeed. It just takes time. This is a rebuild. They're on the hook for like $85 million of Russell Wilson money. They don't have the talent, but they're getting it built up right from the ground up. And Tampa's secondary can't stop anyone. They just can't stop anyone, and that's why if you like Tampa, you should be extremely concerned, because unless Baker Mayfield goes off, which he didn't go off this game, you are screwed every game unless Baker's bringing an A-plus game. And then we're moving on to the later window Sunday games. Carolina beat the Raiders 36-22. After doing a switch at quarterback. They benched Bryce Young, the number 1 pick, who has went 2-16 in his career, who has a passer rating of 70, who has more interceptions than touchdowns, who hasn't, I think, scored a touchdown in the last 10 games he's played. And what did Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, do himself? He stepped in and dropped 36 points for the Panthers. And they beat the Raiders 36-22. It was even bigger than that before a garbage touchdown at the end. Andy Dalton, 319 yards. Chuba Hubbard, 114 yards rushing. Dante Johnson, 122 catching. There's a reason the coach looked at Bryce Young and said, "You ain't it." And he went with Andy Dalton. Bryce Young has to be the biggest bust of all time. This is worse than Jamarcus Russell or Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf was actually the number 2 pick behind Peyton Manning. Bryce Young was the number 1 pick, just like Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell, who faked watching game film. He just didn't give a shit once he got paid. But Bryce Young has just went from a wizard with the football in college to a complete talentless hack. And he's the worst bust of all time. Look at the records. Look at the numbers. It just is so. And then Andy Dalton comes in and does this. Completely vindicating Joe Canales, the Panthers head coach, of making this decision. Sparking the Panthers. Actually making them a football team and not a laughing stock. And when they play the Bengals, another paper tiger, next week, they actually have the better record. Crazy. Alright, Dolphins at Seahawks. The Seahawks won 20-3. Guys, I have undervalued the Seahawks quite a bit. They are the Steelers of the NFC this year. But to me, this is more about the Dolphins. When you got fucking Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, A-Chain, all these weapons, and you only manage 3 points because you're on your backup quarterback with Skylar Thompson, you have failed as an organization at getting your team prepared to win. It's not all Mike McDaniel's fault. Skylar Thompson just sucks ass, and they need to do something at quarterback. I don't know if Tyler Huntley is the answer because they brought him in to be the backup. But something has to be done or this season is over because they actually play the Titans on Monday Night Football next week. And if the Titans are able to beat the Dolphins, it's a wrap, people. Next we got Ravens and Cowboys. Ravens completely manhandled and rushed all over the Cowboys all game long. Derrick Henry 8 well. They were up 28-6 versus the Cowboys, and the Cowboys made it extremely interesting late in the game. However, at the end of the day, the Cowboys again get eaten alive by just running right at them. They're getting outmanned. They just are pouty on the sidelines, and they're just weak-ass, soft defense that they have isn't going to stop the run until they have an attitude change. They had won 16 games in a row at home until last year's playoff game where they got blown out by the Packers. Then at the home opener this year, they got blown out by the Saints. And then against the Ravens, they were getting blown out for most of the game. And they're giving up, an average of like 40 points a game on defense. Micah Parsons, where are you, man? We have to send out an APB for you. CeeDee Lamb, stop acting so pouty on the sidelines when things don't go your way. This is the ultimate front-runner team. They have to have a lead, or they completely crumble like little pussies. They completely just crumble and can't handle it. So the Cowboys take another loss. And the Ravens saved their season. Because if you go 0-3, which we're going to talk about for a couple teams later, guess what? You don't ever win the Super Bowl. No teams ever won the Super Bowl 0-3. And since 1969, only 6 teams that have started 0-3 even made the playoffs. So the Ravens, you saved your season. Next up, we got 49ers, Rams. Baffling. I don't understand what happened here. Both sides decimated with injury. 49ers had a big lead. But somehow, I completely turned away from this game. I look back later, the Rams had won 27-24. What a gigantic missed opportunity for the 49ers. And like I just said, the Rams avoided going 0-3, saving their season. Whatever season they have, I think they're aging old and won't make the playoffs. But for now, they've saved their season. And now you have the 49ers and the Rams sitting at 1-2. And it's really interesting in the NFC West. The Cardinals, 49ers, and Rams are all 1-2. They're all staring up at Seattle at 3-0. In the AFC North, you got the Browns at 1-2. You got the Ravens at 1-2. The Bengals at 0-3. All staring up at the Steelers at 3-0. Will these two stick? Steelers in the North, Seahawks in the West. I want to say no, that I still believe in the Niners. I want to say no, that either the Ravens or the Bengals, if they're not paper tigers, could catch the Steelers. But it's not looking that way the first 3 weeks of the season. But it's a long year. We'll have to see what happens. But can't believe they let that one slip away. Then we have Lions, Cardinals. Lions were able to win 20-13. Look, I think the Cardinals are decent, actually. I think they have some life in them. It was a big game. They're both 1-1, but the Lions were able to respond after losing, unlike the Niners. The Lions were able to go to Arizona and win on the road after they had just lost to Tampa. So the Lions are sitting at 2-1. I think they're comfortable in that position, and I think they'll definitely be a factor. They still got to play the Vikings twice, the team that they're looking up at in the division. They still got to play the Packers twice. So those games will be very vital into deciding the NFC North champions. And then we have Sunday Night Football. Chiefs versus Falcons. Guys, when I say it's maddening, it just is maddening. Patrick Mahomes is playing like dog shit. Travis Kelce looks like he should retire. Yet, I sit here week after week after week telling you, well, the Chiefs were able to win a close game. Well, there was a controversial call the refs didn't make, or the refs did make, and then the Chiefs were able to win. It just is on repeat with them. And it's absolutely fucking annoying. And if I speak for all the other 31 fan bases out there, you would think that when Patrick Mahomes is throwing interceptions, not going over 250 yards, when they're only scoring 22 points, that you'd be able to win the game. If you're the Falcons, 4th and 1, why do you run to the outside and get tackled? Why do you do stupid shit? Why do the teams that play the Chiefs all of a sudden act like they take stupid pills and they blow the game? The Chiefs should possibly be 0-3, but they are 3-0. And here's the deal. Law of averages would say they're 2-1 or 1-2, but they're not, because they have some excellent situational football. Some would say they also have the refs in their back pocket and the league in their back pocket because they want to see the three-peat because of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Are the Chiefs just going to get better if Mahomes gets better? Is Mahomes not going to get better? Or is the Chiefs are they going to actually start losing some of these games that are close? I don't know yet, but we got to see. We got to see. We can only wait and speculate. And as far as the Falcons go, they've started their season 1-2, but they look like a live team to me. They were able to beat the Eagles and save their season, or else they'd be 0-3 right now. and that was last week. They were able to beat the Eagles. They lost to the Steelers and the Chiefs, are the 2 losses. Those teams are undefeated. In their division, the Saints and the Bucs also lost this week. They're 2-1 in the division. Carolina's coming up with Andy Dalton. They're 1-2. An extremely competitive division in the NFC South that's going to come down to the end. And a lot of that will depend on Kirk Cousins' health. And next up, we got the title of the video. Monday Night Football had a doubleheader. We had the Jags at the Bills. We had Washington at the Bengals. And at the end of the night, I couldn't help but think, we have 2 paper Tigers in this league. We probably have more. We got paper Cowboys. We got paper Titans. But 2 paper Tigers in this league. What am I talking about? Jaguars and Bengals. They're felines. Okay? Again, dangerous but ineffectual in the league right now. Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence. Dangerous but ineffectual right now at being able to win a fucking football game. So, they both went to college where Burrow was part of LSU Tigers. Trevor Lawrence was part of the Clemson Tigers. They faced each other in the national championship at one point. These were the guys. Joe Burrow, the number 1 pick of the 2020 draft. Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 pick of the 2021 draft. Should be in the absolute prime of their careers right now, but find themselves 0-3 because they are fucking paper Tigers. Let's start with the Jags and Bills. The Bills actually showed up and destroyed Jacksonville. 47-10. 47-10. The Jags didn't show up. They didn't show out. They didn't act like their season was on the line. They don't care. They don't buy into Doug Peterson anymore. He's got to go. I know Jacksonville hasn't had back-to-back winning seasons since 04-05 until Doug Peterson. I don't care. This team quit on him tonight. This team gave up. They have no confidence whatsoever. Trevor Lawrence has lost his last 8 starts. Something's got to change. The defense got completely ate alive by Josh Allen. Paper Tigers going through the shredder last night. Then we have Washington and Cincinnati. I cannot lay every blame here on Joe Burrow, who had over 300 yards. He played great. He scored 33 points. But his defense let him down. Jaden Daniels and Washington need to be taken seriously. They do. They're 2-1 now. And tied for first in the NFC East. But 91% completion percentage for Jaden Daniels. I mean, he was throwing darts out there. But the Bengals, where is your pride on defense? You were 0-2, trying to avoid that dreaded 0-3 start, and you allowed a rookie to come into your fucking building and throw for 38 points? They threw a party on your ass. You scored a garbage touchdown at the end, and you lost. Paper Tiger. Where is Joe Burrow with the leadership, grabbing his team by the collar and saying, get your fucking act together. We're 0-3. Where is it? Where's the coach? My God, to have less wins than Carolina going into week 4 when you play them is straight ass embarrassing. You lost by 1 point to the undefeated back-to-back champs. the Kansas City Chiefs. You let the Patriots come in week 1, who's my team that had no business beating you 16-10. You're the opposite of the Chiefs. Your quarterback's playing pretty good, but you're losing close games. And that's the difference in this league between 3-0 and 0-3. And that's why you're a paper tiger. It's just you, the Jags, and the Titans that are 0-3. You are in that category. Congratulations. Good luck going forward to you on this season, and Godspeed is all I could say. Anyway, guys, that is the end of NFL Recap Week 3. Thank you all for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Have a good one.